Greetings my friends and welcome to today's crochet tutorial. Welcome to Sew, Yarn, Knit and Crochet. I know I've been away for some time, but I had to attend to some urgent matters. So for today, I'm going to show you how to crochet a super easy and amazing Tunisian crochet baby blanket pattern. So this is how my Tunisian crochet looks like. It's quite long, longer than the usual crochet, and I'm using 5.5 millimeter crochet size hook, and I'm using medium size yarn. So for this Tunisian pattern, it is advisable that you use a Tunisian crochet rather than the other normal crochet that we use. So normally I'd use this type of crochet, but because we need to have loops on our crochet, we are advised to use the Tunisian crochet. And for this pattern, we are going to cast on an odd number of chains, for example, 25, 17, 49, 47, so long as it's an odd number. So I'm going to pause the video and cast on an odd number of chains. So once I've made the odd number of chains, I've made 21 chains, I'm now going to start drawing up loops so that now the loops will fill onto my Tunisian crochet. And this is how. So now we are going to start drawing loops, and we are going to start from this chain here, skip the first and go to the second, and insert your Tunisian crochet into the loop I've showed you. It's the second chain from the hook. Continue drawing up loops until you get to the end of the row. So once you have drawn up loops all the way to the end, this is how your pattern should look like. Also, I forgot to mention that when it comes to the Tunisian crochet, you need to use a crochet size that is a bit higher than what you'd normally use. For example, for this medium size yarn, I normally use 4 millimeter or 4.5 millimeter crochet size hook. But for Tunisian crochet, we are advised to use as a bigger crochet size that we normally would use. So once we have drawn up the loops, we are now going to take them out in twos like so. So yarn over and take them out two at a time. Also, don't make your crocheting too tight, just a bit loose, because you don't want your pattern to curl up. So continue taking out the loops in twos until you have completed your row. So once we are done with the second row, we are now going to draw up the loops again, and we are going to draw up loops until we have 4 loops on our crochet. So I'm going to insert my crochet head there, and then I'm going to pull some yarn. So I'm going to add 2 more loops on my crochet by working into the next 2 chain stitches. So now we are going to work into the next, and we are going to insert our crochet into this space, pull out, and we are going to repeat the same for the next stitch. You see it looks different from the first 4. So now we are going to draw up 4 loops like we did earlier here. So we are going to work into the next stitch here, insert your crochet and draw up some yarn. So we are going to add 3 more loops by working into the next 3 chain stitches. So I have 1 more to add. So once we have drawn 4 loops, we are now going to repeat what we did in these 2 stitches here. So we are going to work into the bigger space, and we are going to insert our crochet into the next bigger chain space, and we are going to do it twice. So I'm repeating it for the second time, and then next we are going to draw up 4 loops like this. This is the repeat pattern for row 3. So basically we are alternating the 4 loops and then we insert the crochet into the bigger chain space for the next 2 stitches. Continue with the pattern until you're done with the end of the row. So once we are done with row 3, we are now going to start taking out the loops, and we are going to do it this way. So for the last stitch here, I drew 1 loop normally, and for these 2 loops, I had to insert my crochet into the 2 big chains. So when you have the two stitches that we did earlier, and we had to insert our crochet into the bigger chain spaces, we draw 2 of them at once. So we are going to draw all the 3 at once, like so. And then next, we are going to take out 2 chains on their own, 2 loops on their own. The difference is that when we get to the two stitches, or the 2 loops that we had to insert our crochet into the bigger space, we have to draw them together so they count as 1. So continue taking out your 2 loops until you get to the 2 chains that we had to insert our crochet into the bigger chain space. So now we are going to take the 2 loops out of the crochet together. And then for the other 4 loops, just draw two of them together out at once. And you can be able to see that there is a difference between the 2 loops that we inserted into the bigger space and just the normal loops that we had to draw up loops normally.
Yes. I love you, Mama.
So we are almost getting to the two unique loops. So we are going to take out both of them together. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. And then for the 4 normal loops, just draw 2 of them out at once. So like in this case, we have the 2 unique loops. So we are going to draw them out together so they count as 1. So this is how we are going to crochet here. And then continue drawing the other loops normally. So once we are done with that row, we are now going to draw up loops. And for Tunisian patterns, we don't turn to the other side. So this is the wrong side. We are only using the right side for this pattern. So now we are going to start drawing up loops, and we are going to start from the second loop all the way till the end. Draw up your loops like so. And then you can see here there's a pattern that is different because we had the 2 unique loops that we had to insert our crochet into the bigger space. So when it comes to these 2 unique loops, we are going to insert our crochet into the big. So when you get to the 2 unique loops, insert your crochet into the bigger chain space before the first unique stitch and then after the second unique stitch. And then for the rest of the 4 loops, we draw up normally. So that is the only difference. So again, these are the 2 unique loops we had worked on earlier. Repeat the same. Insert into the bigger chain space before the first unique loop and the second unique loop, and then for the rest of the 4, draw up normally. Sorry, excuse me. So when you get to the next 2 unique loops, repeat the same as I've explained. So once you have you have all the loops back onto the crochet. Take them out again that I explained in the row before. Where you have the 2 unique loops, you're going to draw them out at the same time so they count as one. So when we start off, we are going to draw out 3 loops because the 2 unique loops count as one, and then draw out 2 loops until you get to the 2 unique loops. As you can see, there's a pattern that has already started being formed, and you can easily know where the 2 unique loops are. So continue with the pattern until you get to the end of the row. So once you have completed your project, this is how the pattern should look like. You can see the 2 unique loops that we had to work into the larger chain spaces, and the other 4, you can even count them. So this is the front part of the pattern, and this is the back pattern of the pattern, the back part of the pattern. Thank you once again for subscribing to my channel and for viewing my work. I'm very grateful. Happy crocheting!